and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we are going to talk about a subject we all hate, which is mosquitoes. It is that time of year, and here to meet with us are some of the folks from the city who help us fight them. DeHart and Mike Bowry, welcome.
Thanks
I'm
for
going to call
having
you
us.
guys the mosquito team.
Hey, thank you.
Okay.
First of all, I'm going to ask for your prediction. It's like predicting the weather. I know there's some science involved and there's some guesswork, but it has been a crazy, crazy wet spring. Does that have any impact on what the summer's mosquito season might look like?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously a wet year is going to give the mosquitoes somewhere that they can breed and reproduce, but you know, we always keep our fingers crossed that it's not a bad year, but, you know, we just kind of play it by ear. But we go into it as if every year is going to be bad. So.
And that's what you guys do. You keep tabs.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the kinds of mosquitoes that we have in Hampton. There's, well, a bunch of varieties, but kind of the saltwater versus the freshwater mosquitoes.
Yeah, so like as you're saying, there are a bunch of different varieties, but three big ones we catch in this area are the salt marsh mosquitoes and then the container breeding mosquitoes. They call it the brown saltwater mosquito and then the black salt marsh mosquito. And they breed in like brackish water pools around the salt marshy areas. And the container breeders are the Asian tigers you hear about a lot. And they're breeding in your buckets and tires, in your backyard, children's toys, and places you don't really think about. They can breed in something as small as a bottle cap. So we're
That's
definitely trying to
crazy.
tip and toss all the water you can.
So, okay, what can people do? Well, let's talk about the Asian tiger one, because that's the one I think that is so bad, and frankly, probably the one I saw last night when I was out on my patio, because they breed so close to home. I mean, they're probably in your backyard or in your neighbor's backyard. What can we do about them?
So the biggest thing you can do for those species is tip and toss. That's what we try to tell the public. Essentially, it's just getting rid of all the standing water around your yards. So corrugated piping, make sure you empty those out or switch the PVC piping so it's straight. Tip all your buckets over. Gutters even, a lot of people don't think about. But when you have excess sediment built up in your gutters, it creates stagnant pools. And a huge thing to remedy those kind of mosquitoes is just tip and toss all the water in the area.
How often do you have to do that? Like, how long do they breed? If I have containers underneath my plants that I water.
Yeah, so typically it varies based on the temperature, but we like to tell everybody 7 to 10 days is when they're going to start maturing to adults, but as quickly as possible, because in the summer when the temperatures pick up a lot, the mosquitoes are going to start breeding quicker and going through their life cycles quicker.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's that for that one. But the marsh mosquitoes, we as residents have a little less control over. What can we do in our backyards or when we're outdoor watching sports or whatever it is, you know, we do outdoors to keep from getting bitten? I mean, how do we protect ourselves from mosquito bites?
Go ahead, bud.
Sorry. Certainly use repellent. They have different options. DEET, permethrin. If you're sensitive to DEET, they have lower
So DEET is probably the most effective.
Yes, DEET is the most effective.
But
and
some
permethrin's
people
the
are
most effective.
sensitive or they think maybe it's not great for kids or whatever. And pyrethrins are?
Permethrin, it's another type of chemical, but it's a little stronger than DEET, and it's geared more towards like really deep wooded environments. It's really good for control of ticks and mosquitoes alike.
So especially if you're in the woods or the marsh, you're protecting yourself against both of those.
Exactly.
Are there natural things that people can do?
Yeah, certainly. For repellent-wise, there's other options, like if you're sensitive to DEET, but they have like a natural lemon eucalyptus oil that you can put on and use as a repellent. There's also picaridin that you can use as a repellent, and different natural things like different plants.
Citronella,
yeah,
lavender.
citronella,
Somebody,
lavender.
Gardner told me last
Marigolds,
week.
chrysanthemums, this
Yes.
type of stuff. Lemongrass, yeah.
And all those things will help. And if, you know, you can spray your hat or you can spray your clothing if you're sensitive, and that'll help, I think, somewhat too.
Exactly.
what else do we need to do? If we have standing water in our yards that we can't tip, is there something we can do to prevent that from being a breeding ground?
Well, you can call 311 and have us assess the drainage in the area, make sure that something's not backed up causing your yard to flood. If it is your yard, sometimes you can adjust your landscape or things of that nature to help try to get you don't want it sitting around longer than a week, really is the problem.
But there are, if we have a pool or if there's something else, there are
there's mosquito dunks.
Mosquito dunks. Tell us about how those work.
Yeah. So it's just a natural occurring bacteria that they've synthesized, and you can get it anywhere. Mosquito dunks is probably the trade name that everybody knows the best, and it's good for about 14 days. Sun does tend to break it down pretty quick. So,
okay.
but if you have a spot that you just can't get rid of, and if let's say you have a rain barrel or something like that, we prefer that you put a screen over it, but if you can't, throw the dunk in there, and that usually takes care of it. Any other, it's very specific to mosquitoes, so other animals and insects.
It doesn't harm them at all. It really just keeps them from hatching, from reaching adulthood, which is a great thing. So yeah, if you have a gutter you can't reach to clean out, if you have something like that, that's a good
absolutely
alternative.
Or you can call us, call 311, and we'll come out and we'll walk the yard with you and help educate you. And technicians have a lot of experience, so they find things that most people we go to, they're like, oh yeah, no, the yard's clear, and we walk it, and we usually find a couple things. Yeah, exactly. So don't feel bad. I mean, I found spots in my yard.
You'll come out and take a look at my backyard. I did not realize that. As long as I've been here and as much as I've talked to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we won't spray it or anything like that, but we'll come out and help you get rid of your problem. So.
All right. So you brought up spraying. Let's talk about those options. Where do you spray? How do you spray? What do you spray? A lot of people are very nervous now about pesticides, but a lot of people hate mosquitoes so much they're like, just come spray. I need it.
Yeah. Go ahead, bud.
No, sorry, we spray based on surveillance data, so we don't just spray willy-nilly like on a schedule. So we spray call usually is based by 311s or number of complaint calls, and then I go to that area and set surveillance traps, and based on the surveillance traps, if we reach certain thresholds, we'll decide whether we spray or not. And that's for a number of reasons. We don't want to harm beneficial insects if we don't have to, predatory insects if we don't have to. We really want to bolster environment and natural predation.
Now, explain to folks what that means. Like, if you spray in sort of a blanket way, you are also going to hurt bees, and we need bees to pollinate the plants and to make honey and to keep our environment healthy, and some other things, right?
Yes.
That's why you're trying not to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, there's other beneficial insects basically, so we don't spray until it gets dark, or right at that hour. We call it a crepuscular hour. It's right at dawn or dusk. But we spray in the evenings. We never really spray in the mornings. But anyway, that's that good time to catch them. When people are out, they start getting bit right at dark. That's when we're trying to get out there and get them too. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's we try to be very specific with what we do. We just don't spray to spray. We have data behind our every one of the routes that we conduct.
Because the spray has to hit them. I mean, they have to be out. If they're not out and you spray, you're just wasting city taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
What would it take? What's the threshold for doing aerial spraying? We haven't done it in a number of years. I know the military used to help us a lot more, and they've had budget cuts as well. They really only spray on their own bases now, and not necessarily there all the time, because I think we've all become more conscious of that spraying.
Yeah, they had specific dates, and mosquitoes aren't always, there when you want them to be. So they have their own agenda. So we have a contingency plan. So we have a contractor that basically we can call and spray when, either when we detect disease or when the nuisance is just so bad, like you can't even breathe, so they're flying in your nose, stuff like that. Those are times that we'll have an aerial spray. But we have numbers and thresholds, but we have there's so many different ones with different types of mosquitoes. So I mean, we'll leave it with that. That when
You're
they're
not
bad,
gonna hit
we're
them
on
all.
it.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
disease is a serious. I mean, they're a nuisance, and I think we all hate them. But disease changes the equation a little bit because it's beyond a nuisance. It becomes, or could become. I don't think we've had a huge problem here recently yet, but it could become a health problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's what Mike constantly conducts surveillance. We do in-house testing. So the mosquitoes, we know which specific mosquitoes carry diseases. We catch those mosquitoes, we test them for disease, and if we have a problem, we get to that area real fast, and we do basically a sweep. We conduct larvicide, spray, everything. So, and then Mike comes back in and retests and retraps,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
everything's
What are the diseases you look for? I mean, obviously mosquitoes in other places carry a lot of bad diseases, but here you're looking for.
Yeah, we're looking for certain species of mosquitoes. Primarily in-house, we test for West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis. And all that testing is done in-house. That's what Chris was mentioning. We do the surveillance and then identification because certain species of mosquitoes carry diseases, others don't. And there's even a species we have here that doesn't bite. So there's a lot of different variety of species. But yeah, in-house we do West Nile testing and we do Eastern equine encephalitis, and then we send it to a lab in Pennsylvania for confirmation.
But you kind of know you're just doing that official sort of health
Exactly.
department level of testing.
Yes, yes.
What about ditches and storm drains? Because that's something, people don't always have a lot of control over. Those are on city property, but they're real close. I know it's not your job, but what does the city do to try to keep those ditches flowing?
Yeah, we have a really great stormwater operations team that they're constantly not only clearing blockage and stuff. They even have a closed circuit TV truck that do subterranean inspections and things of that nature. But as far as what we do, mosquito control, the mosquito that actually carries West Nile tends to breed in storm drains. So we do a lot of larvicide and we'll blanket cover the storm system through the CDIs every year, trying to keep that in check. And we seem to have a pretty good program.
Was mentioning before, we have the surveillance trap and we have a specific trap geared towards the type of mosquito breeding in those storm drains. And if we get a certain number of mosquitoes in there, we'll go out and hit it hard and we'll larvicide the ditches. We also have pre-treatment, which we've already begun, so they never emerge.
So there, in a lot of stores now, it's very popular, things that are supposedly electronic devices that are going to keep the mosquitoes away. Do those work? What is the science
to me,
on those?
anything used correctly can work. A lot of times people put those close to their house, and they're designed to draw mosquitoes to them. So if you're going to use those, put them far away from your house.
Put them in the backyard near my house.
Yeah, make it pull the mosquito away from you, not to you. That would be my suggestion.
Oh, got ya.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to have a lot better luck just patrolling your yard, policing your yard on a regular basis, making sure there's no standing water, especially in central and the East Park Buckrow with those older areas. The albopictus, the Asian tiger, that's the problem mosquito there, and they breed in buckets. So the woodland stuff, if you live near a woodland or a salt marsh, call 311. We'll come out and we'll try to assess. If it's bad, we'll do what we can to try to get them in check.
Are there natural predators to mosquitoes? Because I think some of this is that whole balance of nature, which man's interfered with a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, in the aquatic environment, which is the most effective way to control mosquitoes, is when they're in their larval stages. They live 75% of their life cycle in water. So you can target a lot more in a more isolated space than trying to use adulticides and ULV spraying. So we do surveying for marbled salamanders in the area, which are big predatory like.
Cool.
Yeah, so we do that, and dragonflies as well. They eat a lot of mosquitoes. Also, we have Gambusia holbrooki, which is the mosquito fish in this area, and they consume a lot of mosquitoes as well. and we're trying to bolster that natural predation.
Okay, so dragonflies, I like. Bats, purple martins, do those really help? Is there anything we can do to draw them in?
Yeah, specifically, a little bit, and this is why, I think I encourage everything: bat houses, purple martin houses, these any type of predaceous insect is good. Even a little bit helps. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. If people, especially if people live by the water, purple martin houses are good. You got to get them out
They've
early.
got that open space. I don't think
Right.
I have that. Most of the suburban yards might not have that, but
Yeah, and then bats are good. They get other insects as well. So a lot of people have concerns about rabies and stuff. So if that's a problem, then if you have children or something, I don't recommend a bat house. But if you have some land or something and you don't have young kids, yeah, they're great. Yeah.
okay. All right. Was there anything I've forgotten to ask you that you guys want to add?
No, I just want to reiterate the fact that if you have a problem, feel free to call us at 311. And we also have a domain website, hampton.gov/mosquito, and you can see the Environmental Services website for more information. So.
And if people keep bees or have beneficial insects, you want them to get on a registry so they get notified if you are spraying in their area. Is
Yeah,
that
and
right?
that's on the website, or you can call 311. And yes, yeah, we really, if we know where they're at, we won't spray that area. So yeah.
And that's important, or people who have,
Yeah,
severe
absolutely.
reactions.
Exactly. But we have a couple butterfly farms in Hampton, and they're on the list as well. And we call them before we spray that area.
Yeah.
And people can. I know you can cover bees. I don't know what you do about butterflies, but
So the ones we've had, they have a small butterfly area, and they bring them into the garage, actually.
oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Now I want to do that. All right, so we're going to remind people mostly toss standing water once a week. Any container you have, dump it, wipe it out. You can put new water in it after that. Look for things in your backyard. If you're still having a problem and you're not near the salt marsh, see if 311 can come out, call 311 and see if the mosquito guys can come out, take a look, figure out where your water is that you may not be seeing. And if you start to have a problem during the summer, call 311 and report it. They are trapping and testing every week anyway, but we have a lot more people as residents who can inform them where the problems are, and then they can take a look. And protect yourself. Take care of your own backyard, wear repellent, and be aware of mosquitoes. Thanks for watching.